Welcome back to Midwest. Welcome back to Midwest Girls. We'll just leave it there.
You know what? I like it. It changes things up.
Yes, it does. I didn't have my Midwest Girls. Hey.
That's how we say hello to each other.
Yes. Hey. Even the kiddos know that we say hello.
Oh, yeah. That's how they say hey to us now.
Yes, it is. Today we thought we would bring you a fun episode of just Meg and I talking about something we love, which is books.
Oh yeah, it's like selecting books for this was like, but how do I not take them all?
Yes, and I had to put quite a few back because I actually brought a duffel bag in. Pager Leslie was like, "Why do you have such a big purse?" And I go, "Oh, it's a duffel bag.
These are my books."
But yes, so we're excited just to have this fun episode with you.
Yeah.
Before we get started, of course, we want to shout out to Toups & Co. If you want amazing skincare that is clean and fresh and feels good on your skin, Toups & Co.
Yes.
Use Midwest Girls 10 all caps for it. And okay, this is gonna be TMI, but Meg and I also listened to The Spillover by Alex Clark. Every once in a while, and pretty much every episode, I feel like. But this last one, she had somebody on talking about how she never wears deodorant, and I do not either, and I have it for about 1.5 years.
Wow.
But I found out that she puts tallow balm on underneath her armpits. Did you hear that part?
No, I missed that.
So yeah, she said that she puts tallow balm underneath her armpits because so they don't like rub.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that ever since the past couple of days, and I'm like, oh, this feels so much better than even deodorant ever did.
Well, there you go.
So you can use the tallow balm for multiple things.
It was a wild episode, but I bet she is right on everything.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she is.
Because I am so much crunchier than I ever thought I would be.
Yeah.
Really, like the things I do now, I was like 5 years ago, I would have thought that was dumb.
Yeah.
And like the bread making, the no seed oils, the fact that we homeschooled for 3 years, and I just all these things, raising chickens. I'm pretty sure by the time I'm 80, I'll just be like, I don't know, that grandma living off the land.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's grandma not wearing shoes again.
That's my goal one day. Oh, I hate shoes.
Yeah.
I hate shoes. I walk around here all the time.
You know, and I was texting you and I was on the treadmill and she says that we wear shoes too much. Well, I need new running shoes. I bought myself just like some around the house walking shoes because that's the age I'm at. But then, of course, I hear her saying we need to not wear shoes as much as we are. And so I stopped jogging and I took my shoes off and I felt so much better.
Yeah.
Jogging in my bare feet.
Yeah.
What is happening?
My favorite thing in the summer is playing tag with the boys in the grass, and none of us have shoes on.
That's great.
I love it. It's absolutely the best feeling. And then when the sun's going down, because we always play out there at sunset, and it's warm, but it's starting to cool, and it smells nice, smells like summer.
And the lightning bugs around.
Yeah.
All the good stuff.
Oh, man.
I think we better
just snows right now.
Oh yeah, it's snowing today. Well, I think we better just tell people to go listen to that episode.
Yes, go. I can't remember the actual
Dr.
Kayla.
Courtney Kayla.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that episode, it was this past week's episode. So go check that out.
So there you go, Alex
on
Clark.
The Spillover podcast. But yeah, so also I wore this today because I'm repping our merch shop. It says to the ends of the earth.
I like the color.
Yeah, I wish it had a crew neck, but it didn't. But on not the old designs, but all the newer designs, I can't turn my body right now. But it has the Project 68 logo on the back, really small. So all the new ones that will be slowly coming.
I'm getting a Midwest Girls mug.
Yeah, I love mine. It's fun. And I drink,
I don't have one.
Every time I drink out of it, I pray for the podcast daily, but I really is usually my focus in my prayer.
I love it.
Dear Lord.
Is it the same as the Kingdom Kids one? Like the same type of mug?
No.
I really like that one.
I do too. There's an option for that, but I guess the one I got is not the same. There is I got the bigger one.
I go back and forth. It just really depends.
Yeah.
It's a silly thing. But there's the mugs that I love.
Mm-hmm.
I love them.
Yeah.
I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yes. I go through spurts on what mug I use.
Yes.
And I have a million. Seth actually is always complaining about how many mugs we have.
Well, I'll forever mourn the fact that I chipped the one Beth made for us. I'm like,
oh no! Did I know that?
No, I was probably too depressed to tell you.
That is one of my favorites.
I glued it together.
Yeah,
and
you can use it to hold your pens.
It's just in there, and I look at it. And I love that mug.
I do too. I haven't. It's usually in the rotation. I haven't used it in a while though.
Oh, get it back out.
Yeah, I know. I need to.
Everyone, just enjoy your mugs.
Yeah.
Someday you'll drop it and you'll be sad. To be depressing. Go to the merch shop. Get a Midwest Girls mug.
Yes. Code is Midwest Girls 10 for that. All two. Okay, all two.
Both of those, Toups and the merch.
All caps.
I understand you.
But anyways, we'll get moving on our books, and we're bringing to you our nonfiction. I'm organizing mine as I talk.
I should probably do that.
Our nonfiction and our fiction fancies. So, actually, I think I'll have barely more nonfiction. Just because of the type of show we're on, I guess I started looking at more of the nonfiction than fiction, but. I don't know, how do you want to do this? Do you just want us to start randomly?
Well, let's say, what is a book, and two of the things I'm going to suggest I don't physically have, but what book has most impacted you spiritually? I know it's impossible to answer, but
I don't have it with me.
Oh, yeah, well, I really don't either.
Yeah.
Besides the Bible, obviously.
Right.
We will always say, read the Bible first.
Yes.
But good teachers are very valuable.
Mm-hmm. I would say, actually, men and women of the church. I know you've heard me talk about this before.
I should have brought it.
Was okay.
Shoot. Sorry.
Megan's borrowing our pastor's copy, and our pastor is borrowing my copy because Meg's borrowing his copy.
Oh my! We are all avid readers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it makes me laugh. But he's using it for as a sermon supplement right now. But
your mom is making face on this.
But to skip ahead though, so Men and Women of the Church by Dr. Sarah Summer. That would be my first suggestion. Mm-hmm. But I love this book. It's small. It's called The Spirit of Holiness, and it talks about I just lost my train of thought. But it basically talks about the Holy Spirit and how it dwells within us. And it talks about, actually this one rocked me to my core because of, a certain, yes, I'm going to read this, okay? You'll remember this because I read it to all of you, all the girls. To the Christian, hope is a force with which one nerves the daily endeavor. It is essentially unchristian to use this hope as an escape from facing today's challenges. Any emphasis upon the return of the Lord, which relieves us of our responsibility for trying to change our present evil society, is an unworthy escape. Mm-hmm. And
that stings.
I am notoriously saying the Lord just needs to come back right now, so I don't have to deal with this.
Oh, a lot of people say that.
Yes.
We all do. You all have thought it.
Yes.
You know you have.
And it has been brought to my attention multiple times over, over my life, especially recently. But how about you just pray that Jesus walks with you through this fire instead of extinguishing the fire?
Yeah.
Because the fire is what grows you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You can't stay comfortable too long.
Yeah. You can share one. I have another one that goes with this too. I have a couple. We'll just go back and forth.
One that has really helped me, and I make no secret of it, that I've dealt with anxiety, I had postpartum depression, so my mind has been something that the Lord has had to heal and make right and turn into the image, how He made it to function. And a key book in helping me with that was Joyce Meyer's Battlefield of the Mind. Yeah. It is so good, and she's gotten some flack over the past 5 years. Yeah. And her book, I would defend her. It was so scripture based, and it truly helped me.
Yeah.
Set my mind right, and it is a battlefield really is. So I would recommend that if you find yourself dealing with more often than not, like just feeling like your thoughts are ruling your life and you really want to give it to the Lord and you know that you can, this really helps. It helped me a lot. Another one, Real Christianity by Dale Partridge. How to be bold for Christ in a culture of darkness. And we actually did this in our first small group here. I don't think we finished it, did we, Kylie?
No.
This group ended before that. But we came really close.
No, we moved to John.
Did we?
Yeah.
I thought John was before that.
I don't know.
I can't keep it straight.
I remember we didn't finish John and then we jumped.
Yeah, so Dale Partridge is very conservative, and that's a good thing, but there's, I wouldn't say that I necessarily agree with every conclusion they come to, which that's fine. It's not a salvation issue.
Yeah.
Find a teacher that you wholeheartedly agree with and you just won't. But he challenges you in very real ways. And what does it really mean to be a Christian? Real Christianity.
Yeah. Another one, and I wish I actually could have brought a couple other books by the Voice of the Martyrs.
Yeah.
Actually, Seth and I, our devotional that we do every night that we're doing together is the Extreme Devotion.
Yeah.
And basically because, I don't know, I feel like here in America, we think that we have issues. We really don't.
We're too comfortable is the issue.
Yeah, and actually a lot of the devotionals, a lot of them are based on, a man and wife being tortured or being torn apart in the name of Christ, and they're so strong in their faith.
Yeah.
The whole time, like this one we just read, it was basically, what was it? It was the wife was watching her husband basically be tortured to death in order to protect others in their Bible group. And in order to protect even the actual scripture, because they wanted to take that as well, because they didn't want it to be shared. And they, as a couple, stated, no, they knew that this was going to happen one day, and they already had said, we will stand strong in the face of our enemies and not give in.
Wow.
And it's just like,
gave me chills.
So Seth and I even talked, and he goes, well, it would be hard for me to watch that happen to you. I go, well, I think they would probably put up a fight to an extent to him. I go, I don't think that. I think they probably fought as they could.
Right.
And I go, but we are called to remain strong.
Yeah.
And that being said, leads me to Through the Gates of Splendor by Elizabeth Elliot. And what inspires me so much about this woman, there's many things, but
Elizabeth Elliot.
Yeah, there's so many things, but just in her but her story in her husband being one of the missionaries killed by, I lost the name of the tribe, by tribal people. He was one of the 5 men killed. And what amazes me is that she still went back to the men that killed her husband and her friends husbands and actually saved her husband's murderer.
Wow.
I'm like, what a woman.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons I love that story, but that obviously is first and foremost in my, what in the world? I can't even imagine having the ability to be so humble and so in love with people, because that's what it has to be.
It just is. It's a love that only Christ can make us understand and give.
Yes.
It's the love of God for the soul.
Yes.
For the soul.
Yeah.
My Elizabeth Elliot one is Let Me Be a Woman. And it is so good. It's just all about how we be. It's actually a letter. It's a very long letter, but it's probably, she meant it to be a book for her daughter, but it's for her daughter before she marries the love of her life. And these things that she wanted her to think about, to contemplate. and just our calling as women in general. And I have a signed copy.
Oh,
Look at this.
She opened it up to a very blank
Yeah,
page.
there it is. Elizabeth
That's so
Elliot.
awesome.
Yeah, so I bought this off of Thrift Books, and I was like almost done with the book before I ever looked at the cover page, and I about had like fangirl heart failure.
Yes.
That she signed it.
That's so exciting.
I know. I just love it. So is this like a cherished, I don't know.
Treasure.
Yes.
Cherished
Yes.
treasure.
And she just to say, if you ever listen to her podcast, they'll replay her teaching. She's just such a soothing, calming woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's honestly, I think of her, and I think of Becky, people that I want to emulate, who I want to grow up to be, quote unquote, is this. I want to be that.
Yeah.
I brought the one that we went through, Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. I thought it was really good. I think that there are a lot of Christians who are stunted at a growth point, and I think we all can relate to this. I can relate to it. You get to a point in your walk and you're like, well, I'm just not growing anymore. Well, this helps you get past that point.
Yeah.
It gets to the issue of it.
Yeah.
So this, I would recommend. We did it as a Bible study here at our church. It was great.
Mm-hmm. This goes a lot with an idea the Lord gave me, and I wrote it down because I don't know how it's going to come about. It's one of those things like, hey, here's a little seed, but I don't know how to plant it yet. But basically, I think a lot of it is Christians get hung up on things and they don't even realize it because they haven't grieved even like the unconventional grief of life. Like, you might not think it's a big deal to lose a job or not get your dream job XYZ, and you're like, well, I have a job, so why am I hung up on this or whatever? I'm still providing for my family. That to me is an unconventional grief, like that society doesn't let you grieve.
Suck it up.
Yeah, suck it up and move on. No, that was a dream that you had, and it, at that moment it died a little bit. And I think a lot of people get stunted on that, but emotionally healthy spirituality is one of the resources that could help you out of that.
It helps you get past a stumbling block,
like
a mountain in your life. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't recommend my best friend's books. We've got here Kylie's 3 books: The Devotional, and Who Will Go, and Meant to Live. And can I tell the story? I'll tell the story. So I could not believe it, but I'm always super excited when Kylie writes a book, and life happened, and I bought Meant to Live months later after it came out. And I'm like, yay! And I was so excited it came. And I opened it up, and I felt like such a heel. Because she dedicated it to me and Beth. And I just cried in that moment. Because obviously we all love each other very much, and I love Kylie very much. But her devotionals, you guys, they're just such good nuggets of truth. I won't even say nuggets. Some of them are like truth bombs, and they set you up for the day. I would usually, at that time, I was reading a chapter of the Bible and my devotional. So go grab Kylie's books.
Well, thanks.
They're wonderful.
Thanks,
You did a great job. I love that cover.
That's one of our favorite
It's
pictures.
so cute.
So it's cool. It's actually, that's been a dream of mine since I was a little girl, to write. I thought probably I would write fiction books, but it's not how.
Oh man, I don't think I can.
Now I
do it.
can't imagine writing a fiction book.
It'd be like, and then she ran. It would be so boring.
Yeah, that's what. Now that I thinking about the idea of writing a fiction book is more daunting than just spilling all my personal stories.
Well, now you have to tell what you've been working on.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple projects, but I'm working on. I'll start with this. So, before Who Will Go, there was the first book called Here I Am. Then there's Who Will Go, and then now I'm working on a book called Send Me, and it talks about. It's kind of wrapping up this season of life.
I have Here I Am. I just didn't bring it.
Oh, it's okay.
Because that's the one where you have a hat on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's kind of the process. All 3 of those books, or these books, because the Send Me is not published yet, is basically bringing me to from when I was at, you know, in my deepest valley, like with infertility and how the Lord would started calling me back. I never denied that he was real, but I didn't realize it then, but now I realize that like I was actually I just shut him out. I was still going through the motions of church and everything, but I totally just shut him out, and I was making choices that weren't right. And but anyway, so it starts. That's what here I am starts with. Who will go is like that middle way, and then send me is Raps talks about our journey with foster care and things like that. And that will be, I'm hoping by the end of April is the goal to be out. But I'm actually in writing this time last year, and this time last year was very hard for me. Mm-hmm. So it's also hard for me to write about. I can write maybe a paragraph a day about it, mm-hmm. because it's also, I didn't want to have to, I mean, I will be reliving it obviously as I'm writing it, but I don't want to have to, but I feel like this is something that has to be shared and that the Lord wants me to share. And even though I talk about it a lot, it's different than writing.
Yeah, writing gives you a lot more space to put all the emotions in as well.
Yes. So anyways, but the thing I think Megan was hitting at mostly was right now, I just published my first discipleship workbook for kids. I keep, every now and then I'll accidentally say the word curriculum, but I don't like to call it curriculum just at this point in time, because I don't have like a guide on how to use it other than the directions in it. Mm-hmm. But I don't have like I don't know if I feel like enough of a layout for it. We are going to use it in as a supplement for our kids at our church.
Music brought to you by my son's guitar lesson in the room down the hall.
Hey, I love it. But it started in the book of Mark, or the Gospel of Mark. I guess you could say it either way. But basically what it is an interactive Bible learning tool. So at some part of it, the very beginning of it is, and you can use these worksheets whatever way you want to, but the very beginning of it is you're reading, you're diving into scripture with your child, and even if you're just the teacher in your classroom, and you're reading each and every word, and they fill in a blank that's missing. And I can't believe I did trial runs with our kids here at church. I can't believe the conversations it's brought up.
The word of God does not go void.
No. And so I think I grew up in late 90s, when I was in children's church. I was at late 90s, early 2000s, where I feel like everything just was, I don't want to, because I feel like it was still good, but it wasn't deep.
It was a very comfortable time for the church.
Yes.
And now, I've referenced this before too. The 90s was a time where they weren't hitting on topics that really need to be talked about, and they lost almost a lot of our generation. Yeah. Because they had no real answers. Yes. For the very real questions we ended up having. Yes. Even like pushing the purity movement as strong as they did, they pushed that without really wanting to even talk about it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I think then that scared people after they got married.
And messed them up.
There's a book called I don't have it with me, and I haven't finished it, and I've just skimmed it, but there's a book called Already Gone, and it touches on, it might talk about the 90s a little bit, but like just in general, how kids who grow up in the church, but they're already gone.
Yeah, they don't believe it.
Yeah.
It's frightening thought.
But yeah, so I just requested a print proof for the second one, which that had to be a God thing for me to be able to do two already, because I stopped halfway through Genesis, because I was like, okay, if I want to hit this goal, I need to switch gears, and I should probably do a gospel first, and I should do the Gospel of Mark, because that won't take me as long as a shorter book. Well, I stopped literally at chapter 20 in Genesis. Well, there's 50 chapters in Genesis. And so Angie, who was on last week, and Dad and I were all talking, and I'm like, well, when I do the book of Genesis, that's going to be like this thick, like a couple inches. And they're like, why don't you split it up? I'm like, Oh yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about it. I could do that. So I went back to look at it, and I was already at chapter 20.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I'm just like, okay, well, this is gonna be painless and get this out there too. So yeah, I'm excited about that. So the Gospel of Mark is out, and I was excited to see that there's stuff already being sold.
Yay!
It seemed it's just crazy. People seem to be hungry for this type of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah,
praise God for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go get it.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon.
It's
right?
on Amazon. Yes. Raising Unashamed Kids discipleship workbooks.
I think that one of the, if we just may do a plug for how we raise unashamed kids, is just talk to them.
Yeah.
Share the word. Be in their business.
Yeah.
It just breaks my heart to see how many parents just don't even seem to care about their kids.
Yeah.
Like, come on, just care about what they're doing.
Honestly, answer them.
Yes, just answer them.
Yeah.
Even if it's like, I don't know, but I will find out.
Yeah. I see this book, and I read this book.
Oh.
It's one of my favorites.
It really, I love it. Lauren Aiken's Live in Love. And it's kind of autobiographical.
Yeah.
But she, Kylie got it for me as a gift. And but it just inspired me to just love.
Mm-hmm.
That, and as simple as that sounds, her life is just a really beautiful illustration. Just love.
Yeah.
Live in love.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated.
No. We try to make it, but it's not.
And she's married to Thomas Rhett. There's their beautiful family.
Yeah, there's another one now.
Oh
then.
yeah.
They have 4 girls.
Wow. Girl dad.
Yes. The reason why I said that, though, it is an amazing book. It's one of my favorites. But something I love, and she also has a podcast called Live and Love, and I think she touches on it touched on it on her podcast with her dad, and I think she even mentioned it in her book. But about how real that her mom and dad were about their no, I know this sounds weird, but how open they were about talking about like sex and admitting that they made choices to have sex before marriage, and how it affected certain things in their life and their relationships and their relationship. And I just think it's refreshing. It is refreshing.
Like, it's just, I think we get so scared of scary topics like that.
Yeah.
And just be there. You are your kid's anchor.
Yeah.
There's kind of a theme to our books there, isn't there?
Yes.
Just be your children. Jesus is your anchor, and thus he has appointed you to lead them to him. So thus you are also an anchor.
Yeah.
So be the anchor.
Yeah. You're kind of like, how that, when you were talking about that, I'm like, yeah, you're the one, Jesus has you down, and just think like you're holding on to the rope, to the anchor, as in Jesus. Think about how you're, like, if you weren't holding on, you'd be floating around in the water, right? Think of your child kind of swimming around, and they wouldn't be anchored unless you grab them and start to pull them towards the rope to grab themselves.
Good illustration.
So, there you go.
Yeah. The one I'm currently reading, this is my current nonfiction, if we want to go that route.
Yeah.
Making small groups work, because we are about to launch our small group on Thursday. I think it's going to be.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Nervous, excited, like to stand in front of people all day and talk. It's my favorite thing. Not.
I just wrapped up Erasing Hell by Francis Chan. I almost didn't bring this one, but I think I didn't, because it almost left. It didn't. Okay, it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But at the same time, it didn't, because it's also the refresher that I think a lot of people need.
Yeah.
In the sense of there are consequences.
Yes.
To choices, and especially the choice of not receiving Christ as your Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
And so that's why I brought that. But it's a quick and easy read.
Yeah.
I probably would have got it done within a day, but due to my crazy schedule, it took me less than a week to read. So still, that's pretty good, pretty quick. But I just I just started I usually, before I open a book, and actually read it, I always skim through. So I'm starting my skim through process.
Dietrich Bonhoeffer.
Yep, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, The Cost of Discipleship.
If you haven't read Eric Metaxas,
it's amazing.
Biography of Bonhoeffer, you need to go get that now. It's thick, but
yeah,
it's good.
Is. I read that my sophomore year of high school, and I did a book report on it, and
Amazing.
Totally impressed my English teacher.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great book.
Yes,
It's amazing.
it is.
I got to go to Flossenburg.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was eerie.
Yeah.
Should we move to fiction?
Yeah. Hang on, real quick.
Oh,
Let me
sorry.
just say these, and then we'll move.
Oh,
to
sorry,
fiction.
I'm done. You're not.
No, this is because every school book I had I brought here because I could reference them more here. A couple books that I did I used through school recently was what Christians ought to believe, and it's an introduction to the doctrine through the Apostles' Creed. So it takes you through the Apostles' Creed, but then it leads you to scripture on why Christians believe, what they believe. So, and then the other one was The Great Omission by Dallas Willard. It was just, it's just really good. Actually, it's like the things that the church forgot to teach you. So, but the essential teachings of Jesus on discipleship is basically what that goes through. And then this one was for my hermeneutics class, and it's called How to Read the Bible for All Its Word. And I love this because I think so many people misunderstand the context that things are written in, but a lot of it is because they honestly don't know the culture, they don't know the lifestyle then, and the root words of the Hebrew. There's so much lost in translation, and I'm not saying that to freak people out. It just is.
Yeah, not like the foundational
yes,
truths, but things that we get hung up on that we shouldn't be hung up on.
Yeah, it's clear when you read it in context.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now we can move on to fiction.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't
no, it's okay.
And I had to answer a text, so I apologize for those talks.
No, you're good, because I just saw Seth text me too.
Fiction. Oh my.
This was the harder, honestly.
Yes, because there are just some books that define you, it seems. And fiction, I think it can teach us as much as non.
Yeah.
Just the way it expands our mind. And I love historical fiction, so I learned so much through about history from a historical fiction.
Yeah.
So I brought my copy of A Christmas Carol because I am a lover of classic literature, and look how pretty this book is.
It is pretty.
It's like a fabric cover, you guys. So it's supposed to look like the original that was published, and it has the original Cole pictures that he had commissioned. Yeah. It is just one of the best books. Adam was reading it at Christmas time. Yeah. So I'll put a bookmark there, but I put it out every Christmas. And I also have another vintage Christmas. It's called a Vintage Christmas. It's a beautiful book. I put with this at Christmas time, like out on a table. Because, I mean, come on.
It's so pretty.
It is so pretty.
I love it.
So I'm a sucker for that. And then this is one I decorate with a lot too, because I think it's so pretty as well. But I'm a huge fan of Jane Austen. Yeah. I've read all her books. Yeah. Just such a timeless love storyteller. Like it transcends time because it's so relatable and romantic, and not an ounce of smut to it, honestly. It's just great. So if you love, I don't know, if you want to expand your mind and read something that, I don't know, is from more of a classical education, reach for Jane. And that thickness, don't freak yourself out. There's like 5 books in there. That's all of them. I love her so much. Jesse knows that. I also have the books not in this tome. Like they're individualized on my shelf too. But I have this one out a lot. Yeah. I have a really pretty classic cover one with all of them. Yeah. It has like a pretty blue vintage cover. Oh, I love that.
Do you want to talk about the Wizard of Oz?
Oh, okay. So this is I grew up getting lost in the land of Oz, and my Nana bought me this. She knew that, and I would get beautiful books at our library. I think I checked out that Wizard of Oz books. It was old, and it was a fabric cover too, a lot. But my Nana knew I loved it, and she could hardly, you can't read her writing at all, but she got me this little paperback set of, I think there's 6 or 7 of the Oz books, because there's a lot.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So it's very well loved. And it's just so special to me that it's first off from my Nana, who's now gone, but I just grew up reading The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
It's so funny.
Isn't it funny?
It is. I love it. Well, but I tend to gravitate to actually historical fiction specifically, especially World War II, but I think I actually diversified it. It's either World War II or like early America. Right now I'm reading Sarah's Key, which is a World War II novel. And it's really good so far actually. But I don't know enough to tell you about it. But it's based in Paris, and actually I guess I could tell you it's about when the Jewish families were round up. They were even French-born citizens, and they were round up in the doesn't have the name, but they were rounded up by French policemen, and they were all like, "You're doing this to your own people," because even in the thing, it's based on a little girl's perspective, and she's like, "Why are we? Oh, we should be safe because they're not Nazis."
Oh, and
it was the French police doing it to them.
That's what I mean. Historical fiction. It's one thing to learn something in a history class, but authors can take you there and what were they feeling? What happened? Like it's it's powerful.
Yeah. So the Yellow House. Okay, so I've recommended this to a lot of people, and I don't think it's affected anybody else like it's affected me. If you don't know me, you know I'm obsessed with Ireland. And this is actually based on a Quaker family, so that's funny. Yeah. But basically it takes place in like the civil strife over World War I in Ireland. And just kind of like they were going through their own civil issues between like separating and being a republic or, you know, staying with England. That's why there's technically two nations within Ireland. There's Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. And it's kind of like the beginning of all that. But this, of course, it's like a rags to riches almost type of story. And so it is just really fun and it's really good. So then the Trader's Wife is another favorite.
I love that book.
And I just get lost in it all the time. Sorry.
We have an interruption here. Sorry.
But here, I'll keep talking.
You keep going.
But The Trader's Wife is based on Benedict Cumberbatch. Oh my gosh, did you just hear me? I said Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Arnold's wife, Peggy Shippen Arnold. And so, but it's based on her maid. But so it's the maid's perspective on Peggy Arnold and Peggy Shippen. So she's like walked them through it all. So yeah, that's really an amazing book.
Are you sure? Yeah. I do.
So the other ones are The Kitchen House, which is a good one. This is based on like the Civil War era. Talks about, it's like from the slave's perspective. It has just like I don't know, there's a lot of good stuff to it, but the ending really messed me up, like in a good way.
Yeah.
It was very shocking.
I apologize, guys. That was the end of the lesson. I had to take care of something. It's not professional.
And then the last one is the America's First Daughter. So
I love that one
it's
too.
So good.
Thomas Jefferson's daughter.
Yes, Thomas Jefferson's daughter. This and The Trader's Wife, in The Yellow House, and even The Kitchen House, but The Yellow House, Trader's Wife, and America's First Daughter are books that I'm like, I could read again.
Yes.
I could read that again. But yeah, I just love, like Marie Benedict is a really good author as well. I didn't bring up any of her books, shockingly, but
she's done a lot of good ones. The other Einstein.
Yes. Mrs. or Clementine, which is Winston Churchill's wife.
The Paris Wife. Is that her? At Hemingway? Is that Marie Benedict?
I think it is. That's the one I haven't read.
Oh, it's good.
The Personal Librarian is good, but I now it's slipping me who that was based on. And there's one more, my favorite one too, and I can't remember what it was.
I don't want to misquote if that's not her with the Paris wife, but that's a really good book.
I think she did write one on Hemingway.
Okay.
I think so. But yeah, that's all I got.
The historical fiction one I'm currently reading is Becoming Mrs. Lewis, which is the love story of C.S. Lewis and Joy Davidman.
Oh, okay.
It's really good.
That would be good.
I really had no idea about her.
Yeah.
And it's the unconventional. They came together later in his life. It's just a really good read. So
yeah,
I would get
I'll
that.
have to check that one out.
But a historical fiction series that I highly recommend, and I read them all on my Kindle, is the Out of Egypt series by
I remember you talking about that.
Connellan Cassette. She is a phenomenal author, you guys. She takes the Bible and makes it come alive. The first book is about a Egyptian. She was wealthy, but then circumstances make her a slave, and it's her perspective, or a servant more so, her perspective of the Exodus.
Ooh, that'd be good.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And how she shows God's grace for not only the Israelites, but for all people. Because I think a lot of people read the Old Testament and they just can't see the love of God in it. I cannot recommend this series enough.
Yeah.
It's called the Out of Egypt series, and then there's 2 more in that, and then she went on to write some even about Joshua.
Ooh, yeah.
And the land of Canaan. And it's cool because every book feeds off of the next. Like, not feeds, but there's a character, either it's a family member, or a descendant.
Yeah.
And each one has a good love story in it.
Yeah. I'll have to check it out.
You will not regret it. I will, please go read these books. And now she just, the last one she wrote was about the Ark of the Covenant and how it was, please correct me if I'm wrong, where it went into the city and they had the boils, and the perspective of someone in that city following the Ark out and being redeemed even then. Like, it's just so awesome.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good.
It's really good. Anything by Connelly Cassette, but I encourage you, start at the beginning because they all
do feed off each
yes.
other. Awesome. Well, hey, I think you guys got a lot of good books to start with.
Yeah.
This is all of our recommendations should last you at least a year.
Well, if
not
you
more.
like to read.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have any questions or ever want book recommendations, just message us. Oops, I just bumped my mic. I'm so sorry. But
I'm sorry for my interruption there, guys. I really am.
But just message us. We would be happy to help you in your book finding needs. So
yes, go get Kai these books.
Oh yeah, there's a shameless plug.
I'll do the plug for you.
But yeah, so we'll be back next week, and we just love you guys, and we thank you for listening.
Yep,
we'll
God
see you.
I'm sorry. It's 5:30. I was like, oh goodness.
I kind of laughed because I'm like, this is a very Tom thing. And then when he started talking in a normal voice,
He couldn't hear me.
oh.